Karate Kid Legends is directed by Jonathan Entwistle and is the fifth theatrical Karate Kid film. This is the movie that brings Mr. Han from the 2010 Karate Kid film into the MIYAGI-Verse. That is no longer a reboot. I mean, you call it a soft reboot, but it is now a part of the MIYAGI-Verse. And let me tell you, this is going to be a non-spoiler review, but I will tell you that they explain this right at the beginning of the film. Like, they don't even waste time with it. They tell you exactly what Mr. Han's connection is to the MIYAGI-Verse right away, and then the focus shifts on the new Karate Kid and his story, because this is ultimately his story. But right on the poster, you've got Jackie Chan reprising his role as Mr. Han, Ralph Macchio returning once again to reprise his role as Daniel LaRusso, as these two senseis have to come together and merge the stylings of karate and kung fu to help Li Fong, the new Karate Kid, overcome his obstacles. First of all, I'm going to say that I really wanted this movie to be great. I really love this franchise. Cobra Kai, I've talked about a lot here on the channel. I've reviewed every season. I've speculated. I've talked about what they can do in the future. And this movie's just another piece of the universe just getting bigger, bringing in some new characters to join who's already been here. Daniel, Johnny, Miguel, everybody who we know from the past, present, now come together for this new chapter of the MIYAGI-Verse. But the issue is that this movie, unfortunately, was not great. It was definitely a disappointment, but not a horrible movie, just very by the numbers, and also very weird when it came to the plot. So again, I'm not going to go into spoilers, but I want to talk about the good and the bad, because this is not a bad movie. This is not a horrible movie by any means. It just, the movie's 90 minutes, and I've talked before about how more movies need to be 90 minutes because that's a perfect time for a film. And do you know how many classic movies from the 70s, 80s, and 90s were 90 minutes? This whole idea of doing 2.5-hour movies that end up being long snore fests, you know, is more of a modern thing usually. But movies could be 90 minutes and still cram the whole story in. This movie had the opposite effect. There's too much plot here. This is clearly a 2-hour movie that they shaved down to 90 minutes, maybe even longer than that. If you're coming in from Cobra Kai and expecting to see, you know, Miguel and Robbie, that's not what this story is. They're not in this thing. We've been talking about that for a while here on the channel. This is the story of Li Fong, Ben Wang, who is played by Ben Wang, who is a student of Mr. Han in China, and him and his mom come from China to America. So it's the reverse Karate Kid 2010, and they go to New York City. He tries to fit in. Same as the other Karate Kid movies, the same formula. He meets a girl, befriends her. There's a bit of a romance, but guess what? She has history with the bully, because there has to be a bully, and really none of the bullies have ever lived up to Johnny Lawrence. Certainly this one I don't think does, but I was surprised that it really went down the same old, you know, formula. Now, formulas can work if done right. It's just that this is now the third Karate Kid movie that has that type of you know, structure. However, the movie then throws a curveball at you, because right around the second act, right around maybe not the second act, the end of the first act, there is a whole subplot with Ben Wang meeting the girl, the Sadie Stanley's father, Victor, played by Joshua Jackson. Yes, Joshua, the same one that was Charlie in the Mighty Ducks. Listen, I'm always going to see him as Charlie in the Mighty Ducks and the guy from Dawson's Creek. That's right, Dawson's Creek. I never saw the show, but I saw him in the commercials. He's great in this, by the way. He's probably my favorite new character. Not my second favorite, because I'm going to talk a little bit about the Li Fong character, because I do like him a lot. But so there's this subplot where he has to deal with these like loan sharks, and it's like tied to this dojo, but they don't really tie up all the loose ends by the end. And this is why I'm saying that the movie feels like there needs to be an extended cut of this. Either this script is just poorly done, or there needs to be an extended cut. The trailers honestly kind of lied to you. The idea behind the trailers is that, you've got Jackie Chan and you've got Ralph Macchio coming in to play the two senseis to train Ben Wang, and that is partially the story, but there's a whole other subplot that takes us there that I was not expecting, and it's nowhere to be found in the trailers. Now, I'm not saying that maybe they hit it to fool people, but it does seem that way. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you're going to see this movie for Daniel LaRusso or even Jackie Chan, number one, they're wonderful on screen together. They have chemistry. Jackie Chan is so lovable. I mean, he's awesome in everything, and he's great in this character. And Daniel LaRusso's, Ralph Macchio is just superb as always, keeping that character strong and what that character represented in the Karate Kid movies and in Cobra Kai. So that is good. However, you're not going to get enough of them. You're going to want more. It's not a movie where we spend that much time with them. Yes, there's training montages. There's actually multiple training montages. And to be honest, the training montages at one point actually get spliced in with tournament footage. And I was like, okay, you are desperately trying to cut this movie down. And I'm not even saying, again, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm fine with 90-minute movies. It's just that this script didn't really maybe the script is longer, but this final edit of the film needed more time because there's a lot of stuff that you can kind of resolve in your head. Like at the end, you kind of figure, okay, they live happily ever after, but maybe not. And so there needed to be a bit more of that. It wasn't, at all kind of what I think people are expecting, but it does follow the Karate Kid story. But there are issues, and I mentioned, like I said, this is a 2-hour movie, maybe even 2 hours and 10 minutes, spliced down into 90, so it's missing a lot. The good is that I do think that the martial arts scenes are amazing, really, really well done, and I want to put over Ben Wang as Li Fong. He is a brand new actor, and he's wonderful in this role. He has these eyes that he comes off like a very, very kind, unlike Julia and Daniel when they were younger, he's actually very kind, very polite, very likable, and you want to root for him. So he's got a lot of those Miguel vibes, and now that this is all in one big universe, maybe down the road in a future Karate Kid movie, because I do want to see this character, Li Fong, come back. I don't want this to be the end, even though I think the movie's not going to be successful because of what I'm about to tell you, or what I've been telling you. But I do want him to come back in the future and maybe interact with Miguel and Robbie and the whole Kenny Payne. Those could be some fun moments, down the road if they ever decide to merge the younger Cobra Kai cast with Ben Wang, because he is a really good actor. Joshua Jackson is awesome, just very likable. But like I said, if you want like Jackie Chan is awesome in every scene he's in, I just wanted more of him. You know what I mean? I wanted more of him, more of the Ralph Macchio stuff. And the training I thought was a lot of fun to watch. This movie's weird because there are scenes in this movie that I really love. There's a lot of really good scenes. There's a character arc for Li Fong's mom. There's a character arc even for the bully, somewhat. So there's, it's, to be honest, and this is going to sound weird, but the Li Fong character didn't really have an arc. And that's the weird thing, is that in the original Karate Kid and even the next Karate Kid, Daniel was kind of hard to deal with and Miyagi had to reel him in. This is not one of those movies where Ben Wang, or Li Fong, excuse me, where he's, difficult to work with, doesn't study, doesn't train in martial arts because he doesn't think it's important, and then Mr. Han has to come in and train him in the martial arts. No, that formula is not where this is from. They do train him for a specific reason, but he's not a white belt. He's already fought before. And that's actually kind of a clever thing, but one of the issues they ran into is the believability of the power scaling. So I'm supposed to believe that a high school kid can beat up on 3 thugs, grown adult thugs, but can't beat up one bully. All right, that's a little wacky. Now, Cobra Kai got wacky. I mean, Cobra Kai definitely pushed the boundary of reality, but the problem is that what I just told you happened so close together in the movie that it's like, well, if he's already this good at Kung Fu, and, why even bring in the Jackie Chan character? Why? And then the way that they kind of give you the excuse for Mr. Han and Daniel to be involved felt very, very lazy. This script, like, I was watching the movie for this, and there's something you should be aware of. To be honest, you could have written this entire movie and not even have had Daniel LaRusso in it. Like, and I think, part of me thinks that the original draft of this movie probably was just a sequel to 2010 with Mr. Han. Like, I feel like that's what they originally wanted to do, but when Cobra Kai blew up, and obviously this movie would not have been made if it wasn't for Cobra Kai being so damn popular, because they're piggybacking off that popularity. They figure, well, we have to have, Sensei LaRusso in this, and so they kind of shoehorn him in, kind of like it made sense in the context of the universe to a degree, but from a writing perspective, I didn't think it was all that creative at all. Like, it didn't even feel like a desperate situation at that point. So it sort of felt like this is their way of bridging, like sort of having Mr. Han become an acquaintance of Daniel for possibly something down the road if they do another movie or a Cobra Kai follow-up or something. But as a movie, like as a standalone movie, it wasn't that good. It was good, but it wasn't great. It was fun. I had a good time with it, but I wanted more. I thought the Karate Kid movies had evolved with Cobra Kai sort of elevating the entire franchise upward, and I thought that the movies had kind of, I was hoping at least that this movie would have given us more. And it just felt like they were trimming everything they could and trying to meet a specific runtime, and as a result of that, you lost a lot of character moments, plot resolutions, and you shouldn't have to figure it all out in your head, even though you could. So it's got issues. If they ever release an extended cut, that might be better, and I hope that they do, because there has to be an extended cut. I would say if you are a fan of if you are a diehard fan of Karate Kid and Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan, you're going to go see this anyways. I assume you're going to have a good time with those actors, with the story. You're not going to get enough of them, I'll tell you that, but you'll get some fun moments. I actually wanted more of Daniel and Han, because it sort of is similar. It's kind of a combination of Daniel and Miyagi and Daniel and Johnny's relationship. You know what I mean? And that was a lot of fun to see. I wish that they had more time. I really do. This movie needed another 20 minutes at least. At least 20 minutes. And it still isn't that long, So if you're not really a fan of Karate Kid, maybe wait for streaming if you want. I'm sure it'll be on Netflix or somewhere in the next 2 months probably. But yeah, Karate Kid Legends, thumbs in the middle, slightly up, but I really wanted it to be a thumbs up. I really did. And you know what? I hope there is an extended cut, because I want to like this movie. Also, there is the biggest pop of the whole movie theater came with it's not a post-credit scene. You don't have to stay till after the credits. It's a scene right before the credits that plays. It shows the Karate Kid Legends logo, then it cuts to this extra scene, and that is gonna make a lot of people happy. It was funny. It was charming. That's gonna make a lot of people happy. So I do encourage that. I think people are gonna walk out of the theater happy because that scene might like manipulate them into thinking that the movie is better than it was. But all it'll do is tell you, man, I want more of that. Like you're gonna say, damn, I want more of that in this movie. It's great. Anyways, man, I'm out. Take care.